Hello everyone, and welcome to this video tutorial for Grid Singularities D3A version 0.8. In this new release, we have added a new feature, which is the Maps feature, and I'm going to show you how that works today by running through a simulation. So you'll see in the sidebar, we have a new group here called Map, and when you click on the map, you see a global map. And this is where users will be able to store the location of their communities and share them on our global map. So we can see all the communities in the world that are simulating their energy trading using D3A. So I'm going to set up the first community here today, and then I'll share that publicly with everyone, and so you'll be able to use it to set up a template for your own energy community. So here in the project, I have the simulation Berlin, and I already started setting it up. So I'll go to the main page. And what I'm going to show you is that you can set a location for markets and devices in your simulation inside your actual simulation modeling and results page. And then you can choose to share it publicly on the global map page. So we'll start by adding some nodes. And you'll see here that we made one change to some of the wording. So instead of calling this an area, we're now calling it a market. And the main reason is that we think it better explains our concept of building hierarchical markets. And as I'll show you in a minute, when you set the geotag of a market, you'll be able to pick the area or location. So now we're using the word area to describe whether a market is sitting at a specific location or whether it's covering an area of multiple locations. And then of course we have the devices or energy resources of the PV storage load and power plant. So I'm going to start making a community in Berlin. So for this case, I'm going to add a neighborhood that I stored in my library just to make this go a little bit faster. So this is a market with two houses inside of it, and each of these houses have a load in PV. So I'll add a couple neighborhoods to my community, and then let's label these for Berlin. This can be Neukölln and Charlottenburg. So what I'm trying to show here is that I can take a community, and in this case it has just two houses in it, but say for example you want to simulate your community of 5 houses or 30 houses, you can put them all here within one neighborhood, and you could actually geotag each of the houses so that they're viewable on a map. And then you can also geotag other communities that are in your simulation. So let's start by tagging this one to an address in Neukölln. So for the market, I go to the geotag type and I have area or location. So by picking on location, I can actually search for a specific location, a specific address. And if I click on area, then I don't actually enter anything, and the simulation draws an area around the addresses of my other two devices. So let's add a location. And when I click to add a location, my map automatically appears. So let's add a location in Neukölln. And you can see the map already zooms into the location, and I can actually click any location I want on the map. And then I click save. And this is telling me that when I set a location for a market, all of the children, the devices or markets underneath will take that same location because it's a hierarchical structure. So now I can see my load and PV are also in the same location, which makes sense because I have one address for my whole house. So when I click on the load or PV in the geotag, it's automatically set to the location of house 1. So I can see these are the devices in my house, and then they appear on the map here. And in terms of general navigation, If I ever want to close the map, there's a map button at the top of the screen, so I just click here to close the map. And then I can open it from the top of the screen or by clicking in the location for the geotag. Great, so now let's set an address for house 2. And in this example, we'll actually set, let's see, yeah, let's pick another location on the same street. So let's pick that it's this neighbor here. I click save. And now I have my second location set. So when I click to go up a level, I can zoom up a level and then I see the whole market of Neukölln and I see my 2 houses there. So let's maybe add a device that's at another location, like a PV. And then let's put the PV also on the street here. It's a community PV, and add it. So that's how I add a location for a device. And then maybe let's add, let's see, let's add maybe an energy storage. Actually, I want to show maybe one more level down. So let's add a market and say, trying to think of an example, if there's another building on the street or maybe a general area, like for example here, Maybakufer, this is an open market, and so there might be maybe devices at different addresses there. So if I wanted to simulate something like that, then I could add a load and configure the location for the load. So let's put it on the street here. And then maybe I have another load, but it's at a different address. But I want them to be in the same market. So in this way, my 2 loads are simulated here, and then the market is automatically built as an area around these 2 loads. And then I can go up 1 level, and I can see already that in Neukölln, I have these multiple markets. So here I'm viewing Neukölln. This market is an area with these 2 loads in it. And then these houses are also markets that have their loads at the same address. So I can see it just like this. Great. Yeah. And so then let's, so I've simulated my energy community here, and I can see how they're trading within the Neukölln hierarchy. And so now the next thing, just to show you the full extent of how the maps can work, is to look at a different neighborhood in Berlin. So we'll go to Charlottenburg, and here, yeah, so it has zoomed out. So now I don't have a location for Charlottenburg yet, so I just have Berlin, and then in Berlin I have Neukölln, and then I zoom in to see the markets inside Neukölln. So let's set a location for my house in Charlottenburg. So I will search for location, Savini-Platz. And on the map, I'm taken there, and I will have the same location for my devices below. And then for house 2, let's set another location in the same neighborhood. Great. So now I have another market in Charlottenburg. And then let's zoom out to Berlin. And I can see Berlin is covering these 2 neighborhood markets, Charlottenburg and Neukölln. So maybe let's add one more market. Let's call this one Mitte. And then let's set another market as a location, and I can just pick a spot on the map. Save here, and then if I click back on Berlin, I can see now Berlin, the area has adjusted to accommodate all of my markets inside of it. Great, so now I think I'm ready to run my simulation. So we'll run this simulation, and then as it's running, I'll start adding even more things to see how the map can build up more and more. So let's run this. And as it's running, let's add some more devices. So I'll open the maps. We could add a PV at Tegel, for example, which is near the airport. So I can add a device with a location, and it appears here on my events timeline. And then maybe I want to add another neighborhood. And let's put this in Tempelhof. So I can see how my city is growing. Then I could also add a power plant. Great, so you get the idea here. And then I can zoom in on the different levels to see the different markets inside of Berlin. So you can make some interesting configurations here, and I think the one that makes the most sense is to build small communities by neighborhoods and then to simulate maybe trading between these two communities. So let's go to the results page, and I can also view the maps on the results. So I just click the map button here, and then my maps appear along with my results. And this is a really great feature because I can see where I added a power plant. And so I click here and it automatically takes me to where the power plant is. And then I also can see the results for the power plant device. So it zooms me into the power plant on my grid navigation. So let's also look at Mitte, for example. And I automatically zoom into Mitte and I can see the results in my Mitte market. I think I actually didn't have a load there. So maybe let's try Neukölln. And now I can take a look at what my results were in Neukölln. Great. So the maps feature, as you can see, also works on the results page. Of course, you can zoom in and out, and then I can close the maps and also operate my simulation without any geotagging. So in any of these cases, of course, you can build a simulation without adding any geotags, and you can, everything works the same. So it's just an extra feature to have the map view. Great, so next, let's look at how this simulation would appear on the global map. So when I go to my projects, I'll see that for my project, I've added locations, I've added geotagging to Berlin, and so now I have this maps icon. And when I have the map icon, it means that the average location for the simulation now appears on the global map. So when I click to the map, I see that now we have our first simulation on D3A, and it's here in Berlin. And so I can zoom in a little bit. And these indicators tell me that there are 10 markets operating in Berlin with 12 devices. And this symbol shows that none of the simulations are currently running. It will show a 1 or a 2 if there are 1 or 2 simulations running in Berlin. And so this location is calculated by taking an average of all of the coordinates in my simulation. So it really doesn't show, it doesn't really show a particular location. It's just an average of all the markets there. So it protects a lot of privacy in the simulation setup. So now I'm officially sharing my location on the map. But if I wanted to turn this off, I have the option to remove it from the map here. And in that case, it does not show on the public map. Or I can also add it. And if I want to remove the ability to share simulations publicly, I can also do it in my profile and account. And so here it shows that I've given permission to share my simulation location, so I can just unclick this and then click Save if I want to remove permissions for all of my simulations. And so we set this up so that you can share one location per project. So the idea is that the user would create different projects for different use cases. So maybe instead of tutorial 0.8, this is called Berlin Community. Maybe there's another community or another project called Hamburg where different simulations are being worked on for a community in Hamburg, or maybe Brandenburg or other parts of Germany or across the world. So we assume the user wants to create one project per community, and so in that project they would have multiple simulations, but only one of them would share the location globally, so that we don't have repeat locations. So if I duplicate this, for example, and I say this is Berlin version 2, it stays in the project here, but this one's not actually shown on the map. So I just can only choose one version to show in the map. And if I want to show this version, I just click to show it and I click OK. And then this version is the one that appears in the map. Great. Yeah, and I think most users are using the normal researcher user account, but for any users that are exchange operators or admins, for collaborations, we also have a maximum of 3 collaborations per user can be shared publicly. But that's only for users that are actually creating collaborations. So that's only for the exchange operator and the admin account. So I'm sure as we continue to add locations to all of our simulations, then our map will grow. And by the time you're working in D3A, you might see many more simulations here.